I remember with Endfield, he was a very difficult guy, and there was always had a problem for every solution. And when it came to dialogue, if he was given 7 words, he would always try and get it down to 1 or 2. Yes, the giant crab, I remember that Ray travelled down to Whitstable, and because I remember him asking me, how far is Whitstable from here? And I said, well, if you're driving, it should take you about an hour. He said, oh, that's good. And he went down to the market there, the fish market, and he bought the largest crab that they had caught that day. He came back, and of course it was still alive, and it was still the correct colours and everything. And then he put it into a deep freeze or something for about a week, so that it died, but it was still in its fresh looking colours. And then he drilled holes in it and put metal rods down there so he could get the arms of the crab and bend them and into shape and for the animation. By the time he finished shooting with it, which must have been about a month later, it stunk to high heaven. Well, there was just Ray was in charge of the animation, and there was another guy, Canadian guy, John, who was Ray's personal assistant, and it was his job to do all the drilling of the holes, to put wires into the creatures, and because Ray used a lot of actual animals, there was very little putty work done, unless he had to do putty work, but most of it was done with real creatures. And the assistant John, that was his job, and also he would keep an eye on which movement was done next, so that it didn't suddenly go like that. No, they were a team. I was just purely there to go in and get the rushes off to the laboratory and occasionally give a hand if they had multiple characters in the scene. I would help push them across the frame, and very little really. It was just a pleasure to work with the man when I think back on it.